Today on the Clock Sports Radio Show, we will discuss Rondo and Humphreys balling in Boston, the Greg Popovich controversy, and fantasy moves to help make that playoff push in your leagues. All coming up in a couple of seconds. Stay tuned. All right, and welcome to the first installment of Clock Sports Radio Show. I'm your host, Noah Clock, and with me today is Brodie Strasser.
What's up?
Nick Tackla.
How y'all doing?
And Kyle Smith.
Only the best.
So today, our first topic is going to be certain Chiefs players, Jamal Charles and Dwayne Bowe, wanting autographs and pictures taken with Peyton Manning after they got their butts handed to them 17-9 in their loss. The issue with this is that like competitiveness being lost and players from opposing teams being too friendly with each other, or is it more new school where we're kind of losing rivalries and everybody's just being way too friendly, and it's not like old school days where they wanted to rip each other's hair out and give each other black eyes all day. I'll let Nick Tackla give his opinion on this first.
Okay, yeah, I think the game's changed the way, all the rule changes that just makes the game safer, not wanting people to get hurt. So I think everyone, you see on TV, everyone after the game hugging it out and shaking hands. You don't ever hear of anyone you don't ever see two quarterbacks not go to the field and say good job anymore.
Yeah, but is it possible that asking for autographs on the field and getting pictures on the field taken with opposing players, do you think that's maybe crossing the line? And
yeah, I would say it would be crossing the line. If you want to get someone's autograph, I think you should do that privately.
Yeah,
not where everyone can see, and then just you're supposed to want to beat the other team so bad, but when you lose to them and get an autograph, that kind of just shows your fans that
maybe you don't care as much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just a job, basically. Not.
Yeah. What do you think, Brodie?
Well, I think you can't after you lose and you're asked for the autograph, it's kind of like you're starstruck. You're just amazed how you're playing with these guys. You got to think yourself on the same level. You can't just.
Yeah. Even though it is Peyton Manning.
Yeah. Still, you still got to act professional and.
A handshake, good job. I feel like that's all that's needed. How do you feel about it, Kyle?
Yeah, I'll have to agree with these guys. I don't necessarily like it, but
It's just a new era.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to our second topic. This is kind of a hot one lately with Jim Harbaugh. If you're a 49ers fan, who do you want starting at your quarterback position come playoff time? Kaepernick or Alex Smith? I'll let Brodie start this one.
If I was 49ers fan, I would probably have Colin Kaepernick just because he's more of a dynamic player than Alex Smith.
Mm-hmm. Playmaker.
Yeah, Alex Smith is a game manager, but I think it's I don't know, it might be more risk reward with Kaepernick, but the reward could be greater than the risk with it.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you hold that position even after their loss to the Rams this Sunday?
Yeah, I think I would, because Alex Smith started the first game against them, they still tied. So
yeah.
I think their defense really helped out Alex Smith out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna help out Kaepernick too, but I would definitely have Kaepernick over Alex Smith.
All right, and Kyle.
I'd probably start Alex Smith, but incorporate Kaepernick for running plays and such things like that.
You think they should run some wildcat almost with them?
Yeah, they did it earlier in the season,
okay.
And it worked out good. So I don't see a reason to change it.
How about Tack? What are you thinking?
I'd go Alex Smith just because Kaepernick's so young, and he's only started 4 games his whole career. Actually started, and Smith was with them last year in the playoff run, and they almost got to the Super Bowl. So I figured, give him another shot. Mark Sanchez has been playing how many years for the Jets, and they just keep giving him a shot. Smith, he's been in the league for a while, but they almost won last year, so I just go with him because, Kaepernick's just, I think the playoff atmosphere just get to him, and he tried to do too much. Yeah,
I could definitely see that happening. I'm not sure which side I take on it. I don't know. Alex Smith did nothing to lose his job. He just got a concussion. So I don't know. That's a tough one. Topic number 3. I'm sure quite a few people saw this if you pay attention to the NBA. Chris Humphries had a supposed hard foul on Kevin Garnett, and Rondo decided to take it into his own hands, and he started to get into a scuffle with him. What is your guys' take on if Rondo was in the wrong? Was he in the right? And was his 2-game suspension enough, too much, or just right? Kyle, how you feel about this?
I'm gonna say Rondo was wrong. And the 2-game suspension was pretty fair, I thought.
How about you, Tack?
I'd say that Rondo was wrong in pushing Chris Humphries for. I could see if it was a harder foul, but that foul did not look like rough. He didn't even get a flagrant 1 or 2 on it, so
yeah, it
couldn't have been that bad.
It was almost questionable if it was a foul at all, actually.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's been suspended before for pushing a ref in playoffs last year, and I think he was out of line. I think he should be suspended more just to prove a point.
Yeah, and he's had a little bit of a history with being a hothead in the past too. So, I mean, how about you, Brodie? How you feeling?
I mean, I can see Rondo wanting to defend his teammates and have their backs, but yeah, what he did was not right. I mean, you can't just go out like you guys said. It was questionable if it was even a foul, and then just go up and just shove Chris Humphries. It's just unwarranted.
Yeah, I think that's the right call on that. I do agree that the 2-game suspension could have been more, but I'm sure it will be more if he ever has something like this happen again. All right, and then for our topic number 4, Greg Popovich has some sanctions coming his way from the NBA office, and they've actually been announced that the Spurs will be fined $250,000 for Popovich deciding to send Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Danny Green home away from Miami, and they did not play. And I think the big issue here was the Heat franchise uses a different ticket scaling. So when the Heat play bigger market teams such as the Spurs, the Lakers, Oklahoma City Thunder, they actually charge more per ticket. And when fans are paying a lot of money for tickets because it's against the Spurs and then they don't play 4 of their top players, that's a big issue. And David Stern came in and he did fine the team. Now, the question is, should Greg Popovich be able to do this without being penalized? I mean, it's his team, his decision whether he wants to sit players or not. Or was David Stern and the NBA totally within their means to totally within their means to fine the Spurs? We'll let Tack start on this one.
I don't think Greg Popovich should be fined because it's his team, and if he wants to rest his players, then he should be able to. But I do think that the people who bought those tickets should be refunded some, or get something in, because they wanted to see probably the best players play against the Heat if they bought certain tickets, because I was checking online and they can be upwards of $200 more if they're playing a big market team other than the Bobcats or something.
Yeah. The only thing is who would pick up the tab on those refunds?
Yeah, that's because
it couldn't be the Heat because it's not their fault. The Spurs would have to pay that, but that's actually a pretty good idea. Kyle, how do you feel about it?
I think David Stern was wrong. I mean, they did it 5 times last year, and nothing happened. And now this year it happens, and it's a $250,000 fine. I mean, when you're buying those tickets, you knew last year that the Spurs did it, so you knew it could have happened.
Yeah.
So you're taking a risk by buying those tickets. So,
and kind of what your point is if they're gonna fine them, be consistent about it.
Yeah.
If they were gonna do it this time, they should have done it the 5 times he did it last year as well.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think you can point fingers at both sides here. Brodie, how you feeling?
I mean, I can see how the NBA might get mad at this, but like Kyle said, they've done it in the past, so you can't just start fining them now. And that was a pretty hefty check that the Spurs have to pay. I think that was pretty like that much that you have to pay for it. I think that was pretty out of line. So I mean, like taxing and paying them back, like maybe instead of fining them that much, they could just pay back the tickets that people bought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think another issue is those players and Greg Popovich are employees of the NBA. And if they're not showing up to play the games, that's basically like not showing up for work. And when you don't show up for work, bad things can happen to you. I mean, and again, the issue is consistency. The NBA, if they're doing it this time, they got to do it every other time. And I think it'll all be okay if they start doing that. But for now, it's kind of a big issue.
I just want to put there wasn't a rule like what he did. So like why there's not a rule against what Popovich did. So I don't understand like how he could have been fined. Like when he did that, he did not expect that he was going to get fined because he just sat some players. Like
yeah, it's definitely not in the rule book.
Yeah, it was a good game too, even without the players.
Yeah, they only lost by 5. So all right, and then we're gonna move on to our NFL picks for this week. And our first one is going to be the Broncos against the Raiders. Broncos are going to be on the road in Oakland. Brodie, who you got in this game?
Broncos. They've been hot lately, and the Raiders, like, the only thing they got going for them is like Carson Palmer, and he has like more passing yards than like Manning and everything, but I don't see the Raiders coming out on top on this one.
Yeah, and Palmer does have, almost 50 more attempts than Peyton because they're playing from behind a lot of games. So, all right, Tack, who you got?
I got the Broncos just because they got Peyton Manning.
Yep. How about you, Kyle?
Got the Broncos in this one.
All right, it's a clean sweep. I'm picking the Broncos as well. As Tack said, Peyton Manning versus Carson Palmer.
Can't pick against him.
Nope. He's the man. All right, our next one is going to be the Lions at the Packers. I know there's a couple people in here probably going to definitely be picking the Packers, but we'll let them speak for themselves. Kyle, I'll let you start on this one.
I'm going to have to go with Packers at home in Lambeau.
That's a surprise.
Rodgers, I mean, come on.
Yeah. All right, Tack.
I have to go with the Lions. Bounce back. They've been playing good the last 2 games, just a couple bonehead plays, and then they would have had 2 wins.
Yep. They could be
they could
pretty much at 500. Yeah. So, Brodie.
I think the Packers are going to come out on top, but I think this game could go either way because, like Tag was saying, like without just a couple plays, the Lions could be like even like have like a 500 record or like more. So I mean, the Lions played close last time. There's nothing saying they're not going to play close this time.
Yep, I agree. I think it's going to be a close game. A lot of the NFC North games this year have been really close. I'm going to just have to go with the Lions. They're my boys. I got to pray that they're going to pull this one out. I don't want to go to 4-9. That'll be rough. But, yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Our next game is going to be the Cowboys at the Bengals. Tack, let you start.
I'm going to have to go with the Bengals. They've been more consistent than the Cowboys this year. I think Tony Romo, you don't know who's going to show up, the good or the bad. And the Bengals offense, Dalton's been playing pretty solid. A.J. Green almost averaging a touchdown a game. I got to go with the Bengals.
All right. Kyle?
Probably going to have to go with the Bengals too, but it'll be close. With Murray back, the Cowboys will be better. But got to go with Bengals.
Yeah. And they both need this win. They're both still in the playoff hunt. I think it's going to be a pretty crazy game. Brodie, who you got?
I'm going to say the Bengals. 'Cause they're at home. Like Tag was saying, A.J. Green's been playing really, really well this year, and I don't think that Cowboys. I don't think they play well on the road. I don't think they can pull it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bengals as well. The Cowboys struggling against the Eagles on Sunday Night Football at home really showed me something. I mean, they're just so inconsistent, and they just don't play well together.
The Eagles did not have Vic, McCoy, or Deshaun Jackson. Their top, quarterback, running back, and receiver.
Yeah. So they just can't stop anybody. Tony Romo, you never know what you're going to get. I'm going with the Bengals, more consistent. Next one, Titans at the Colts. The Colts have been hot. Tennessee's definitely on a downfall. Brodie, who you got?
Playing the Colts at home. I mean, and Andrew Luck's been playing really well this year. Titans. Their one bright spot is Chris Johnson, but other than that, they don't got much going for them.
All right, Tack.
Yeah, I got to go with the Colts. The way Andrew Luck can just pull it out at the end, I think they're gonna beat them pretty good. I don't know how they're only favored by 5. I figured it'd be more, but yeah, I'm going with the Colts.
All right.
I'm going to go with the Colts. Titans are struggling on both sides of the ball. It's not going to look good.
Yeah, I got to go with the Colts too. Andrew Luck has been playing pretty crazy. He's a supposed MVP candidate now. He's hot, just finds ways to win. We've heard that before, but I think this guy's legit, and I'm going with the Colts. Another NFC North matchup, Bears at the Vikings. Who you got, Tack?
I'm going to go Vikings. The way that the Bears defense played last week, just not good. And the Vikings are 5-1 at home. And if Adrian Peterson does what he did last week, 200 yards, 210 yards, I think the Vikings will win in a close one.
All right. How about you, Kyle?
I'm going to go with the Bears. Adrian Peterson will probably do good like he always does, but somehow the Bears will pull it out. That defense gets takeaways.
Especially against Ponder, who's been known to throw some ducks up there. So, yeah, they might be able to take advantage of that. Brodie?
I think the Bears are going to win this one. I mean, the Vikings will definitely keep it close. I think Jared Allen's going to have a big game because I don't think that the Bears' offensive line does not play well, but
Yeah, very questionable.
The Bears' defense was get a couple takeaways, and I think they'll be able to win.
Yeah, Bears 3-2 away from home. Vikings 5-1 at home. I still gotta go with the Bears. I think they're just too talented. I think it is gonna be close, but on both sides of the ball, Bears are solid. Gotta go with the Bears. Now, this game is surprisingly lined at even. I don't know how. Chargers at Pittsburgh. Chargers, I don't even know what to say. Every year we come in, offense is stacked with big-name players, and they just can't do it. Phillip Rivers just seems to be going downhill every year. Meanwhile, Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, probably still going to be questionable. Brodie, who you got this week?
I got the Steelers. They just beat the Ravens at the Ravens with their third-string quarterback, Charlie Batch. And I think that speaks a lot of what the Steelers are capable of. And, the Chargers are just not been there this year, and I just don't see them winning.
All right, Tack.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers, too. After just pulling a one out against the Ravens, that's always a big rivalry in the NFL. And just the Chargers team just always in a downspin. I think they just got to get a different coach, and things might turn up. But, yeah, I'm going with the Steelers. Plus, they're 4-1 at home.
Yeah, always a big advantage there at Heinz Field. Kyle?
You can't go against the Steelers in this one. Steelers at home. It's Steelers all the way.
I agree, which you might have probably guessed from my opening statement on this game, but I'm just not a big Chargers fan this year. They've been really disappointing me. All right, our next game is going to be another in-division rivalry here, Falcons at Panthers. Now, Panthers have been another one of those inconsistent teams, as well as Cam Newton has been. Falcons have played a lot of close games that they've been able to pull out. Kyle, who do you got?
I got the Falcons. They're too good on both sides of the ball, and I don't think Newton will pull it off. They don't have enough talent on their team.
Yeah, defense is really struggling, especially against Matt Ryan in that passing game. Tack?
I got to go Falcons, but in a close one. The last time they played, it was 30-28. Falcons just squeaked by again like they always do, but I just can't pick against the Falcons the way they're playing right now.
All right, Brodie.
Yeah, I have to go with the Falcons as well. I mean, like they've been playing a lot of close games, but they've shown like that they can win them, and I just don't see like the Panthers. I mean, unless Cam has a big day, I don't see him winning.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be up to Cam whether he can push that offense over the top. I got to go Falcons, another sweep. Just too good, 11-1. That's pretty good. It's hard to pick a 3-9 team over that. So our next matchup and our last matchup is going to be Ravens at the Redskins. RG3 against Ray Rice. Who do you got, Brodie?
I'm gonna go with the Ravens on this one. I mean, I think their defense is just too good for RG3 to have a big day against them.
All right, so you don't think there's going to be any hangover from that Steelers loss? Think they're going to bounce back?
Yeah, I think they bounce back.
All right, Tack.
I'm going Redskins. Just the way RG3's been playing. I mean, if he can get a win tonight against the Giants, he'll have so much confidence that I think he'll be able to do pretty good against the Ravens. They couldn't really stop. I mean, Charlie Batch and the Steelers' offense, whose running backs are pretty down as it is. So
Pretty beat
yeah,
up.
I think the Redskins have a lot better offense than the Steelers do, and I think that RG3 will make the right plays to get him the victory.
All right, Kyle.
Gotta go with the Ravens. I don't think the Redskins have good enough defense to stop the Ravens' offense, and I think the Ravens have a better defense than the Redskins' offense right now.
I'm going to have to go with the Ravens as well. I think they'll bounce back. Ray Rice tearing it up again like he does every year, very consistent. But RG3, I mean, he's gonna make it close, I feel. He always seems to. His completion percentage is amazing for a rookie. He's still running the ball real well like he did in college, but I'm still going with the Ravens. All right, and that's all the time we have for the NFL matchups. Moving on to our fantasy basketball expert, Nick Takla. He's going to come in and tell us about his top 5 free agents to look out for and his top 5 players losing value in the NBA for your fantasy teams.
All right, starting off for the first free agent you want to get on your team is Richard Hamilton. I mean, he had a rough start this year, but I mean the Bulls do not have Derrick Rose, and the last 10 games he's been averaging 15 points, 2.5 assists, and 3.2 rebounds, and he's only owned in 30% of the leagues. I mean, he's not gonna really have a bust out games. I mean, one game he had 30 points, but he's almost averaging like 16 points in the last 10 games, so that's pretty solid, I think.
Yeah, that's a veteran for you right there.
And then at number 2, Hamilton's former teammate Tayshaun Prince, still hanging around in Detroit Pistons. I mean, his last 10 games, 13.2 points per game, 3.4 assists, and 5.6 rebounds, only owned in 15% of leagues. I mean, he's probably going to be in every free agent pickup you want to get. So if you need a guy just for that night, I'd say pick him up.
All right, and your last one? Or maybe not your last
My
one.
third.
Yeah, your third one. Sorry.
Kevin Seraphin from the Washington Wizards. Last 10 games, averaging 12.4 points and 5.4 rebounds. But 4 out of the last 5 games, he's had a double-double. And he's only owned in 12% of the leagues. And he does play power forward and center, so if you're looking for either position, you can go in both of them. So, I mean, the Wizards, they're down, but he's still playing pretty consistent.
Okay, sounds good.
And then for number 4, I got Tiago Splitter. And last 5 games, he's been averaging 11.8 points and 6.3 rebounds. And he does play power forward and center, and he's only owned in 5% of the leagues. I mean, the one game where Duncan didn't play probably helped him out, but other than that, he's still been consistent. His free throw percentage is up from last year, and he's only owned in 5% of the league, so he should be there.
All right.
And my last one is Eric Gordon. He's only owned in 40% of the leagues. I read that his pain in his knee is subsiding, so they haven't gave a time frame when he's back, but when he last year he averaged over 20 points a game. So if you need a scorer, he's going to be coming back probably in a week or two. I'd say pick him up.
All right.
And that's my top 5 free agents.
All right. And then moving on to your top 5 players losing value.
Don't want these guys. The number 1 player I got losing value is Luis Scola for the Phoenix Suns. First 10 games, he's averaged 14.1 points and 7.7 rebounds, and he played 28 minutes. The last 6 games, his averages are down to 8 points and 3.8 rebounds, and his minutes have been cut to 18 minutes a game. So I'd get him off your team.
Yeah, lost his starting spot.
Yep. And then number 2 player I got is Jamal Crawford. His first 10 games, he was averaging 19 points a game. And his last 4, just under 12 points a game. I mean, and Chauncey Billups is back, so I think his playing time will be cut. But I just don't know what's wrong with him the last couple of games. He just hasn't been scoring as much, or what's up with him. So I'd get him off your team.
All right.
And then number 3, I'd say this is for more down the road. Anyone on the Pacers. When Granger comes back, their production's going to go down. I mean, they can't share the ball with all 5 starters and have them average what they're averaging right now, especially when Granger's their best scorer. At number 4, players losing value, I got the Sixers big men. I mean, Thaddeus Young and Spencer Hawes' numbers will deplete once Bynum comes back. They're playing good right now, but Bynum will be the main centerpiece in that Sixers offense. And last player losing value, I got Luke Riddenhauer and any other guards for the Timberwolves. Rubio has started practicing and will be back and will be the starter of that offense.
All right. There's some good fantasy expertise there from Nick. Now we can go to Kyle, our fantasy football expert, and he's going to tell you about the top 5 free agents to help you make that playoff push.
All right. If you're looking for a quarterback, Carson Palmer's your man. Owned in 74.8% of the leagues, which is a little high, so you're most likely not going to get him, but some leagues you will. And his last 4 games are against pretty favorable matchups for defenses: Denver, Kansas City, Carolina, and San Diego. Golden Tate is only owned in 10% of the leagues, and he's had 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games, and he's going up against Arizona and Buffalo in the next 2 weeks, so pretty favorable. Another wide receiver, T.Y. Hilton, owned in 33.6% of the leagues, and has averaged over 13 points past 5 weeks. If you're looking for a tight end, Mercedes Lewis, Jacksonville Jaguars, owned in 18.7%. And since Chad Henne has became a starter, Lewis has had 16, 5, and 6 fantasy points, and Lewis is becoming a favorite target for Henne. Another wide receiver is Chris Gibbons for St. Louis Rams, owned in 3.2%. He has had 17 and 9 fantasy points in the last 2 weeks, and with Amendola still not fully healthy, he'll be seeing more balls thrown his way. And now for the hate him, love him. Hate him, Larry Fitzgerald has only had a combined 6 points the last 3 weeks, and will be going up against the Seattle Seahawks defense. Denarius Morris has only had 11 fantasy points the past 3 weeks, and is going against a good Denver defense. Reggie Bush only had 64 yards rushing against a bad Patriots defense, and is now going up against a good 49ers defense. So I wouldn't expect much from Bush this week. Love him. Alfred Morris rushed for 120 yards against the Giants last time, and I expect the same this time. Julio Jones is going against one of the worst defenses in the league in Carolina. Mikel LaShore had 84 yards and a touchdown against the Packers in Week 11, and I expect about the same production in this week. And now to start 'em, sit 'em, Bryce Brown or Matt Forte. I would start Bryce Brown or Forte. Bryce Brown is pretty much the only offense the Eagles have right now. And Forte is going against a decent Vikings defense, and he is a little injury prone and coming off an ankle injury just recently. DeMarco Murray against Fred Jackson, starting DeMarco. He looked pretty good after missing 6 weeks with an ankle injury. And Fred Jackson, even though he just came back from a concussion, splits carries with C.J. Spiller. Antonio Brown and Greg Jennings. I would start Antonio Brown versus a bad Chargers defense, and with the possibility of Big Ben coming back. And then with Greg Jennings just coming back off injury also, Rodgers spreads the ball around too much for him to get lots of targets and points. And that is all.
All right, thanks a lot. That was really helpful. I hope your fantasy football team is doing better than mine. Started 0-7 this year. Making a comeback, though. See you in the Toilet Bowl League, Kyle.
All right.
All right, and then Brodie, our college sports analyst, is going to give you his bowl game predictions for this coming bowl season in the National College Football.
All right, I'm going to start with the Rose Bowl. I'm going to have Stanford beating Wisconsin, but it could be a closer game than many anticipated, because if Wisconsin comes out and plays the way they did against Nebraska in the Big Ten championship game, I think the Badgers could possibly pull it out, because many people picked Nebraska to win that game, and Wisconsin beat them by 39, 70-31. So, I mean, if they come out like that, Monty Ball could have success. I think it could go either way. And plus, Stanford's quarterback play has been up in the air a little bit this year with split and starts with Josh Nunez and Kevin Hogan. So it could be a closer game than what people think. And in the Tostitos or the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, I'm gonna have Oregon beating Kansas State. I just think Oregon's offense is too much for Kansas State to handle. Colin Klein, I mean, he's been a Heisman candidate for most of the year until they lost to Oklahoma State, but Oregon has their own with Kenyon Barner, and I just think that up-paced tempo might be a little too much for the Kansas State defense to handle. And for the in the what is it called? Sugar Bowl, I'm gonna have Florida beating Louisville. Louisville hasn't really beaten anyone major this year. I think Rutgers was probably the biggest team they've beat. But I mean, Florida, they were I think number 2 at one point, and their only loss was to Georgia, and that was a 8-point loss with 6 turnovers. So I mean, they've had one bad game all year. So I really think that they could they're gonna come out on top in the Sugar Bowl. And in the Outback Bowl, you got Michigan and South Carolina. Denard should be healthy for the New Year's Day Bowl, or the New Year's Day, or by New Year's Day. And South Carolina has Jadeveon Clown. He's probably the top prospect in all of college football, and he's only a sophomore. And I think he's going to give Michigan's offensive line some fits, and I think South Carolina is just going to be too much for them to handle, and they're going to come out on top in the Outback Bowl. And for the national championship, I'm going to have Bama beating Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame's defense kept them in just about every single game this year. And but with Alabama's strength and size and talent, I mean, I think it's just going to be too much for Notre Dame to handle. So,
all right. And then you have your predicted Final Four for at this point in the college basketball season. Why don't you give me that? I
think one of the teams in the Final Four is going to be Duke. I mean, they've played and beat 3 top 5 teams already this year. So I think they're only going to get better as the season goes on. And then another team that I think is going to be is Indiana. I mean, Cody Zeller is arguably the best player in all of college basketball. And the way they beat North Carolina, I mean, I think that just shows you how much talent they have in that team. I mean, yeah, it was at home, but I mean, I still think they have enough talent to really win a national championship. I think Ohio State is also going to be there. I mean, they have one of the best point guards in all of college basketball in Aaron Kraft. He's probably the best on-ball defender in the whole country. And you got Deshaun Thomas is playing lights out right now. So I really think they're going to be there at the end of the season. Probably Florida. I mean, they beat a good Wisconsin team handily by nearly 20 points. And they crushed Marquette, who's usually a pretty decent team. They beat them by over 30 points. So I think Florida in the end I think if they stay hot and keep consistent, I think they should be in the Final Four.
All right, and that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Again, thanks for listening. Check us out next week. We'll have the NFL playoff talk, Heisman predictions, and even more fantasy info coming at you Monday at 6. Tune in.